Welcome to Archery Country Podcast. Welcome back to Archery Country Podcast. This is your host, Wade, as we are back to it right before the first of the year. It is December something, right before Christmas.
19th,
the Monday before,
19th.
So you're going to probably be hearing this on the 22nd or 3rd or whatever. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. Anyways, upon request of our listeners, we have the Big 5 review. It's always been the Big 3, and we added 2 this year because we had to. I have Dan Block directly to my left. If you're sitting in the studio, we're in our brand new shop. What do you call this? Bench. Tool bench. Anyways, and then directly to my right is Jack Opat, and way down on the end is Keith Peltjohn. How you guys doing this morning?
Really good, buddy. How are you?
Phenomenal. Loving it.
Excellent.
-7 degrees outside. Still have a late season tag, and that's where we're going to go right away. For those of you listening, some of you may or may not know that Archery Country is made up of 3 locations. We have our original location in Waite Park, which is right by the Olive Garden. And we have Brainerd, which is up on Old Business 371, Highway 371. And then Rogers. This store is 8 years old?
2013, so this will be 10 years.
10 years, jeez. Anyways, we have a shop-to-shop contest this year, meaning everybody, all of us, almost all of us are hunters, and we took a little challenge. So the way it kind of played out is we got 35 points if you shot a doe with your bow, and 50 points for a bear, which Keith and Dan got kind of hung over on that one. And then in the buck, if you shoot a buck, a bull elk, an antelope buck, anything that's scoreable points, that's your score. Small game's 10. And if you shoot it with a gun, it's half.
Points, yeah.
So we're only going to talk about this for just a second, but I will say Brainerd scared the living bejesus out of us in the beginning of this season. There's a guy by the name of Alex and Jason up in Brainerd who went doe crazy. First, 4 weeks?
Yeah.
They were up like 600 or 500 points or something dumb.
Yeah, they were stacking them up. Alex was the first one to shoot a bear, too. He shot his opener.
Oh, that's right.
And then
And
Chad shot his elk. And
yeah, we had an elk that close to 300, right at 300. So that jumped him like way up. None of us had a choice or chance. But we also have Jake and his wife, Jenny, who are major parts of the company. And the way that it worked is when they shot an animal, their score allocated to the lowest point store. So if you're with me so far, the entire season, nothing against them, but Waite Park has been last. Jake and Jenny had a phenomenal season down in Missouri, and we're like, oh, God. They kind of rose up a little bit. Brainerd has been stagnant, I'd say, since gun season. Then old Dano and Jacko decided that they were going to put some points on the board, and they did. Huge. I added a little point or 2. Keith and I shot does. Dan shot a doe. Jack shot a doe. Jack shot 2 bucks. Dan shot a big buck. I shot a little buck. And Keith, are you still hunting?
I'm still hunting. Yeah,
Maybe.
I've got 2 does and the bear, and then I've got 1 tag left.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Yep.
the bear. Sorry, we started. It was Alex, then Keith, then Dan for bears.
Yep.
So it kind of, you guys, because of Dan's bear, we went up 50 points on the bear deal. Anyways, this runs until December 31st, half hour after sunset. Then we're done. Right now, the traveling trophy is in Rogers as of now. I'm still hunting, and I think Alex and Jason are still hunting. And who knows what they haven't submitted, but I don't know. It's going to take a lot because we have not scored Jack's 2 bucks and my little muley. So that'll
I
put
forgot
us.
they're not in there yet.
That'll put us up
Yeah.
just a little bit more. But it's been kind of fun. So if you do hear us talk about shop to shop, next year is going to be completely different. But it's kind of funny when we have customers, especially the ones that know what's going on, come in and ask about it, because then we get to trash talk. And it is shop to shop contest right now. Rogers in the lead.
I actually went and bought a bonus tag yesterday. So
You did?
Yeah, I'm going to shoot another doe, hopefully.
And you're the only one to shoot one with the new bow,
Yep.
I think, right?
As far as I know.
As far as I, yeah. Keith's kind of, yeah, okay. All right. Anyway, so the podcast that we have is our personal reviews. We're not going to be biased. None of us are paid by any companies. Nothing's going on weird like that. But if you've listened the last couple of years, I think this is going to be our fourth installment of this review. We've added 2 companies because they've really hit a home run this year, and they needed to be added. So it's a 5-star rating. We talk about what the release is, what the bow is, bows, air quotes, and then we'll give them a review. We'll go around the table. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of our listeners like it because it's personal. It's not a sales pitch. It's not a, and we will, giving you a heads up, as soon as this podcast is released, right behind it will be Mathews and then Bowtech and then Elite, then PSE, then Hoyt, as far as individuals, either they be engineers or representatives or owners of the company, will be on to talk to us about the particular bows. With that being said, we ended last year with the Mathews, so we might as well start with the Mathews this year. I wish I had a drum roll. Oh, I do have a drum roll, don't I? Is this a drum roll? No, that's a dumb one. No. Anyways. All right, so Mathews is going to be the first one. This year, they came out with the Phase 4. 2 models, a 33-inch model and a 29-inch model. I will just say it because every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's listening to this right now is probably going to say it. Well, it didn't change anything. Well, that wouldn't be the case. They wouldn't release something if they didn't change something. So they did change something. It's hotter than biscuit in here. All right, Daniel, Mathews Phase 4, 29 and 33, what'd they change?
So riser's the same, but you can do an integrated stabilizer in the front, which is neat because you don't have to deal with like a quick disconnect anymore. You can just slide it in and out, which is pretty neat. 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch, right, for lengths?
Yep.
For stabilizers?
Yep.
So stabilizer's new, and then also the chunk of rubber in the limbs.
That's the basic point of it. Yeah, so the cosmetic, if you haven't watched the YouTube videos, there's 150 of them out there. Archery Country has their own. I got an opportunity to do that. So in the limb design, Phase 4, phase reduction is what they're talking about. It is a piece of rubber. It's actually 4 limbs on top, 4 limbs on the bottom, 8 limbs total. So what you're doing when you talk about a limb that's in phase, so a solid piece of laminate, fiberglass put together, when you draw your bow back, your limbs come out of phase. And depending on how you torque, when you have 2 limbs, they change because of deflection differences and torque differences. They can be off up to 1/16 of an inch. Everything's broken down in decimal form. But then when you shoot, that energy is transferred to the cam to the strings. Those limbs do not come back to stationary phase until the arrow is released. So their idea behind this is to split them up again. So now you have 4 limbs, and when you draw the bow back, the deflection will actually offset itself because there is a rubber dampening rubber in there. And so your limbs will come into phase faster before your actual string hits your dead stop and your arrow's released. So what does that do for accuracy? I don't know if it does anything for accuracy, but what it does do, we experienced this right out of the gate. Keith and I were on 4 days upon the release. Yep. You were in Kansas, and I think you were in Missouri or hunting somewhere. First 7, 8 bows, we did not have to tune.
Yeah.
Now, is it funky magic? Is it just, something in the air? Maybe. Because we have had to tune a couple since then.
Sure.
And that's just top hatting. So
it's super easy.
Which is it's not uncommon at all.
But it's definitely different from from years past, where it was right out of the box. They were ready to go. The guys shoot them and they're good.
Most bows you had to shim them straight to the right last year.
We'd run out of middles.
Yep.
If you bought a V3X33 or a 29, grab a set of middles. You didn't even, by the end of the year, you didn't even have to bother doing it. You know what I mean? I will say this, and it'll go on record. It is quieter.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. In my mind, it's less vibration, which I don't know how in the world you do that.
I think the stabilizers help too.
You think so?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the geeks listening in on this, why would you change the stabilizers? Bridgelock, you're going to spend $750 if you get a whole brand new stabilizer set. Well, yes, you're gonna. What's different about them? Completely aluminum everything. So why does that make a difference? If you take a high modulus carbon rod and you put an aluminum end cap on it and then thread in CNC tap and then thread in a stainless steel stud, there's 3 weak points. Stud to the aluminum, aluminum to the carbon, and then from your stud to your quick disconnect or right into the riser.
And then also weight to weight. So
Exactly.
you can have possibly 6 to 8 different contact points if you're talking weights too.
Awesome selling point right there.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that do? That creates vibration. That creates noise. Is it minuscule? Absolutely. But is it a difference when you go a solid piece of aluminum? Yes. What's the biggest thing for me? And I don't have mine yet. Why are the stabilizers so freaking awesome? Is because I can go in a 1/2 inch. Is that your phone? 1/2 inch. It's like he's my kid. I was yelling at him. He's on his phone.
That's Jack, by the way.
Yeah, Jack. 1/2 inch increment.
Well, he said kid. It sure wasn't me.
So if we have a 12-inch stabilizer, literally it can be 11.5, 11, 10.5. It is your phone, Snapchatting son of a biscuit. What's your Snapchat score, by the way?
I'm not going there.
Yeah. Anyways,
Snap who?
some of us take this serious.
Is that the same as? Is that oh my lord!
So you can literally, if you say I bought a 12-inch stabilizer, it could be 9.5, right?
And then the weight system, it like drops into
interlink.
they lock together with a
So there's no
magnet.
stud. It locks in there, and then you have a set screw on the end cap. Jacko set his bow up in a matter of 35 seconds, shot 8 arrows, and then went out and killed a doe with it. Well, what's your initial thought?
Don't know if it was tuned, but
It tuned up really nice. Initial thought is really similar to last year, but at the same time very different. It's like you said, you explained that rubber between the limb, stabilizer system's really sweet, and yes, that bow is extremely quiet.
So that being said, they have a 29-inch tree stand hunters, ground blind. I know it's kind of a we don't compete, but and it's not arguing, but we have differences, right? Opinion. That's what this podcast is all about. I don't have a problem with a 33 in a tree stand. I didn't have one in a ground blind. Do you? I know you, Dan, have a 29.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have both?
I had a 33 last year, and then I got a 29.
Keith, you're going to use yours for something a little different.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'm gonna set. I actually initially was gonna grab a 29 and decided to go with 33 because I think I'm gonna be healthy enough to shoot some 3D this year. So I want to set it up for that, and
which I think is a phenomenal hybrid bow.
Yeah, and I may be my hunting bow too. We'll see.
Yeah.
You know, I've got.
You know what the difference between a V3X or a Phase 433 and a TRX is?
Limbs,
monkey tails.
Oh,
the riser on a 33 is 36 inches.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, the riser's long. Yeah.
You have a 33.
Yep.
Phase 433.
Phase 433.
All right. So, the bridge lock stabilizer is the Phase 4 dampening system in the limbs, separating. It's 8 limbs. Grip's the same. You can still put a bridge lock sight in there, the dovetail rest.
And you can still run a standard stabilizer.
Yep, and a sight and whatever you want. You don't have to go in. Is it an integrate system? It's a complete hunting system.
Yeah.
Overall, 1 through 5. 5 being absolute best. We've never had a 5 on the show. Maybe this year. Dan, I'll start with you. Actually, I'm going to start with you, Jack, because you shot yours and killed with it already. 1 to 5. What do you rate the Phase 4 from Mathews 2023 flagship bow?
I'm going to have to go with 4.
4. Okay.
I was going to say the same. 4.
Dan's 4. Keith?
I'm going to say 4.25.
Nice.
Because there's so much, the engineering is awesome.
Yeah.
There's so much.
I'm going to skew our vote here for a second because I forgot to include the image. The image is from Mathews as well, their third installment of their flagship setup. That is a 29-inch Phase 4 riser with less deflection limbs, so it maxes out at 50 pounds. So what the idea is keeping older folks in a vertical bow or youth maybe that want a flagship performance bridge lock integrated system, just can't pull the poundage. Max poundage is 50, 47, 43, or 40. You can get down probably safely to
30.
30.
30, yeah, I'd say for sure.
So that image is, we've had a phenomenal welcoming from that. Like a lot of people, especially, and it's nothing against older guys, but the old man's bow, we could label it as. It's been great. I think we sold one to a woman that I know of in this shop, and then 3 or 4 other ones, and the other shops have been doing really, really well as well.
Yeah, I wanted to note, too, on that. I did receive a text from Nate in Brainerd on release day.
Yeah.
Making sure that I had mine on order, and I'm not sure what he meant by that. Son of a gun.
We're going to see June. There's an image for Keith. All right, my score on the Mathews is going to be, I'm going to put it just absolutely do they love, the engineering is there. All the bells and whistles are there. I would have liked to seen something change in axle to axle, but I understand why they didn't. I'm going to put her right at 4.2, just straight up. So 4.25, 4.2, 4, and 4. Mathews Phase 4, 29.33. Let's move next to a bow that's never been on our Big 5 review, and that's Elite. They have 2 bows they released this year. First one up was an Elite Omnia, which is their speed bow. That is, I believe, 32, 33. We're going to all pull up specs here real quick. Should have done our homework. But the Elite Omnia is a speed bow. It shoots up to 347 or 350 feet per second. That's course IBO with all the dampeners and everything off of it. But it is a zinger. You do have a performance mod or a smooth mod. Incredibly awesome bow on smooth. Performance is a little bit, but it is a speed bow. You can micro adjust your actual draw length. You can go on a 1/4 inch draw. So that's really cool. And you can micro adjust your let off. So 70% to 90%. That's the Elite Omnia. They also came out with last week, or week before, I believe it was December 6th, the Elite Era, which is their brand new carbon bow. From Elite, that's 31 and 2. Oh, yeah.
31 and a quarter.
Yep. Thank you, Elite. Thank you for that.
Brand new. Brand new. Right?
So 31 and a quarter, 7 and a quarter inch brace height, and then just under 4 pounds.
Yes. All right. The Omnia, we've all shot it. First thing, the problem, if you're not a speed junkie, like when you hear speed bow, right? You already know that you're probably going to fart a little when you pull it back. It's just, it takes a little, it has a different draw cycle. The Omnia is not that severe, especially on smooth. But overall, it's like the perfect dimensions. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what the brace height was on the Omnia, but it's a little shorter. It really comfortable grip, super easy to tune, has a set technology. Is it 6?
I think it's 6
inches.
Yeah, 6 inches.
So the Elite Omnia, we've sold a couple. They're really they're fast. They don't have a lot of vibration for a fast bow.
Right.
I think they did a great job on the axle to axle, the brace height. There's nothing integrated on any of that.
Nope.
Everything's going to be standard, which we've done for the last 50 years. It's, you mount the sight on the side and the rest on the side and stabilizers where they are.
And like all their newer stuff has that set technology with the limb pockets.
When it comes to tuning, a lot more people are doing broadhead tuning, bare shaft tuning, and just paper tuning on their own. You can do it with an Allen wrench by yourself. Super efficient, very good way to do it. The Omnia it's awesome. I think the bow that's going to really hit a home run for Elite this year, the outdoor group in Elite, is the Era.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It is a super light carbon bow. It actually looks like an aluminum riser. If you look from the front or the back, they still have their bridge cut.
Yeah, you can
aesthetically, it's pleasing, very nice.
Yeah, you can still tell it's an Elite when you see it, right? Yeah.
The grip is really good. Now that is, when you talk about a carbon bow, inlaid carbon fiber, extremely strong. Probably one of the nicer bows that you're going to shoot if you come in. Their price point is very friendly for a carbon bow. I get $16.99.
Yep.
What's your guys' initial thoughts on the Omnia and the Era? Whoever wants to go first.
Sure. Well, I ordered an Era. I started shooting carbon bows last year, trying to get something a little bit lighter, and when they were coming out with that one this year, it's super nice. I prefer that over the Omnia. The Omnia is pretty cool for a speed bow for sure, and I've never had an Elite, so this would be kind of fun. So yeah, I'm excited for my Era.
Jacko?
Yeah, like what Keith said, the Omnia is an awesome speed bow. It's got a stiffer draw, and then that Era, I definitely think outweighs the Omnia. Just smooth, lightweight, nice for guys going out west. It's going to be a really good seller this year for us.
The Elite Era only comes in 4 colors. Just so everybody, if you haven't got on the website, do that. It's going to be a sienna brown, a tan, black and green, with black limbs. I think everything has black limbs. Daniel?
Yeah, I think the carbon bow is going to do better. I think just overall specs, people are going to like it more. A little bit nicer draw cycle to it than the Omnia. I think the Omnia is a nice shooting bow, but it does stack up a little bit more. The carbon, man, that thing is nice brace height, good axle. Cam is not stiff at all. It's a nice shooting bow, and there's no hand shock.
That's what I was just going to say too. For as light as it is,
everything is dead, absolutely
dead. We have some customers that came in last week. Then they they drew the arrow, and they're like, "Well, it stacks incredibly hard right in the beginning. The first inch and a half, you're feeling 70 pounds. You're gonna have that on that cam." And you're also going to have it anytime that you incorporate 90% on anything.
And actually, I think it builds up more towards the end myself. But not bad, but just stacks up maybe a little bit. But it's not like the Omnia where it really builds up.
Yeah, and that's one reason I like it, I think, because it is like it resembles kind of like the like Wade, you mentioned the 90%. You know, it kind of resembles PFC draw cycle, which it starts heavy, but then it doesn't, you know.
Right. If you go to 80%, then it's going to smooth it out a little bit more.
It's amazing to me to see. It's the same exact cam as the Omnia, but we've lengthened the axle and we've changed the brace height, so they feel like 2 completely different cams, but they're not.
Yep.
Same cam, same mod. Again, smooth. You can actually get 3 mods. You can get performance, which is 75% max, or smooth, not performance. Anyways, performance is going to be 90 to 70. Smooth is 90 to 70. And then there's something else. I don't remember what they call it, but you can get, like, it's very aggressive 75%. I don't know if they've actually even labeled that. I know there's some podcasts that are out there where we talk about the 3, but you have to order the mod specific if you want the aggressive. We'll just call it the aggressive cam. Or mod. Sorry. So...
so you got performance, standard, and then 75%.
So they just labeled it 75.
Yeah,
okay.
Yep. So, 3 different. Yep.
With that being said, they didn't release any. They still have the terrain in the basin and the ember. They have now. You can get the ember in left-handed, which is, thank goodness.
Yeah, it's nice. That's a good selling bow.
Yeah.
Same with the basin.
Basin, both on the basin. Yeah. The basin is a phenomenal price point bow. The terrain is a really good bow as well. I like the basin a little more than the terrain because I still get that hard back wall. We didn't even talk about the back wall. Elite has one of the most severe back walls next to like a Bowtech Zion because it's a limb stop, but it's actually a pad that you can put these little draw stops on the actual let off.
Yeah, on the mod.
Yeah, on the mod, and then... Like, if you think it was hard with the cables, which are really, really nice, it is extremely hard. And people ask all the time, well, what does that do for me? It makes you an accurate shooter, more accurate, because it's always the same every time. You're not going to pull
not pulling against the cable.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is optional, right? You can shoot it with or without.
With or all of our demo bows.
Yeah, if you like to tinker,
right?
It's a nice option to have.
Again, set technology. I'll start with Elite. I'm going to say the Omnia. It impressed me. The Era blew me out of the water. I'm going to give it straight up 4 stars this year for Elite. Elite has never been on our podcast. We never looked at them since like the Energy days. And we even did a podcast last year. We'll link it in the bio. You can go back and listen to it. the guys from Elite even said they kind of had a roller coaster where they went down. There were some bows in there that they just got by and it wasn't, but then they've slowly been on this uphill battle and they got to the top and now they're at the top. Definitely a contender for one of the top 5 bow companies going. So I give them 4 stars.
I'm gonna say 4-1.
Nice. Jack?
I'm gonna say 4-1-5.
You threw the 5 in there.
You guys are the 4-2-5.
Well, the 4.25 is just
It's a quarter.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, so 4-1-5 for Jack.
So whatever that is,
Is
figure
that
out
higher than your
fraction.
Mathews?
Yes.
Gotcha. Either.
That's
So,
close.
so I get stuck on these, right? Because I want to say because as a company, and then maybe another one that we're going to talk about, as a company, I want to give them a higher rating because of doing something brand new for them. But as the bow itself, I'm going to say right in that 4.2 range.
Nice.
So I mean, right up there.
pretty high rating
Maybe
for-
I'm going to go 4.25. I'm going to have them match Mathews,
All right.
just because it's a brand new technology for them and they're making it work. So
Yep. I like it. All right, let's trickle on down to Bowtech. Bowtech actually gave us 3 flagship bows and a part of they own Diamond, if you don't know that. On Bowtech's line, they also released a carbon bow this year. And correct me if I'm wrong, it was the first carbon bow released besides Hoyt, right?
As far as the new-
Well, was it PSE Mach 34 or was it the carbon one this year?
ooh.
I think.
I want to say
34
PSC
released
came
earlier.
out first.
All right, but it's the first time for Bowtech.
That being said, they had
Yeah.
carbon. You know, it's a,
Like,
it's a platform
yeah,
they already
real
had, right?
real
Yeah.
carbon though this
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
On Bowtech's?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Not not like the carbon overdrive.
oh, you mean
and-
yes,
yeah,
okay,
like,
okay.
Like
okay.
I'm saying,
Not
Yeah,
a
you're
carbon composite
right.
riser.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
What he's talking about is the carbon overdrive, the carbon icon, carbon night.
and then carbon Zion.
Those are carbon composite.
Yep.
So that is a carbon bow that you can buy for $6.99 on the Zion. The icon was real close. Was there carbon overdrive? It doesn't matter. But anyways, that's a carbon composite. What is the difference between a carbon composite and a carbon inlay? We save that for one of our podcasts where people can actually dissect it. I don't. I know that a true carbon riser is one of the strongest materials you can put together when it's all said and done. Carbon composite's still strong, but it's carbon composite. There's actually a name for it. I don't even remember. But anyways,
The process in building the riser is entirely different. That's all I know.
so the carbon one from Bowtech is, we'll pull up some specs here where you guys are talking. Again, we should be pretty close. It's a 30-inch bow
30. Yep.
with a pretty nice brace height. They have some cool stuff going on where you connect the the quivers. It's an actual screw together bracket you can put an orbit dampener inside that.
Right in the
So-
riser, 30-inch axle, 6.63 brace height, 335 feet per second,
Yep.
4.5 pounds. That's kind of the only downfall is the weight is not like an Elite or PSE.
Yeah, Hoyt did this to us on the RX-5s. They built the carbon bow and it weighed just as much as the aluminum or, what shade
Real
under.
close,
and you're
right?
like, well, what the frick is the point of a carbon bow besides it being warm? We'll talk about Hoyt in a second. But anyways, if there was anything, when you shoot the carbon one, they have a whole new cam system on every one of their flagships this year. I'll say it hands down, Bowtech owns the industry when it comes to tuning or self-tuning. It is the easiest. If every customer bought a Bowtech, our jobs would be...
We'd sit at the register.
It would be weird, right? I mean, we seen it last week.
And it's the right way to tune a bow too.
Yeah.
You're not,
Yeah.
not saying that other companies' ways of doing it is not
But
wrong.
there-
It's not
right.
wrong, but
Yep.
it's just, this is
It's a different way.
Yeah, yeah. The way that you can just shim the cam right or left on the fly is awesome.
If it takes more than 4 shots to tune a Bowtech through paper, I mean, a bare shaft tune's a little bit different and a broadhead tune there, but if it takes more than 4 shots, it's the shooter.
Or it's your arrow setup or...
Yeah, if you're shooting a 500 spine arrow at 30 inches when you're a 30-inch draw and you're 72 pounds, well, then, again, I'm going to put it on the user, the shooter's back, not ours. But if you have the correct arrow spine and things are, within that realm, walking on the line of perfect 4-shot, 2 shots, if you know what you're doing. You did 1 and 2 the other day. Their grip is probably one of the more repeatable grips that you will find across the board, from their target bows to their hunting bows. Mm-hmm. Very comfortable. You can get a high wrist. They're called clutch grips. On the carbon bow, is it different?
Same,
is it? Okay. But it's inlaid. It looks a little different because you're inlaying it to a carbon.
Yep, because you've got a...
And it's thinner. Yeah, the grip itself is thinner.
Thinner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think.
We'd have to actually measure it.
You're talking width of like the...
I think the clutch plate on the clutch plate is the same size. The carbon, I would say, is a little wider up by your thumb and your forefinger because like the SS34 is the same it's been.
Yeah.
We'll have to measure that. We'll get back to you on that. The Carbon 1 is a great shooting bow. It's proven. And I do say that you didn't shoot the first deer with the new bow because Jake did.
Yep.
Jake had a Carbon 1, went down to Missouri, shot a stud.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody sitting here minus me has a Carbon 1 on order. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Correct.
Again, the only thing, it's a smooth, and you still have comfort and performance mod. You can switch that. You put that baby on performance, and you're going to zing some speed.
Yeah.
You guys shoot comfort or you shoot performance or both? Does it depend on the year?
I've always shot comfort with
comfort.
Bowtech.
Yeah.
Never played with performance.
Okay. I have played with performance just for speed. I wanted to see, we took I don't even remember. Remember when
Revolt X?
Revolt. Yeah.
Yep.
Revolt X and maxed it out?
Yep.
And it was 360 feet per second or something stupid. It was dumb.
Oh no, that was a solution.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, it was.
What the heck was it?
Yeah,
solution.
So it was a solution.
Lives in Elk River. Just bought a new place. Noel. It was Noel's setup.
Yeah, that's what
okay. So he had a solution SS, wasn't it?
SS.
Yeah, an SS.
But
I think after he did his speed check, then we went and grabbed just a standard solution.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that baby, on performance, you better have your Wheaties in
I think
the morning.
I saw the video of you shaking.
I got to be careful because you video a lot of stuff with me. Anyways, so the Carbon 1 is a very, very good draw. It shoots. It's super easy to tune. Accuracy-wise, I don't personally know anybody that shot at long distance, but it is a shorter axle bow. If you're in a tree stand shooting more than 60 yards, it's very unlikely, but maybe, I don't know. Would you take it out west? I wouldn't, but that's me. Right. I shoot longer axle bows. Carbon 1, excellent job. Good job, Bowtech. The SS34. So if you rewind back 3 years ago, was it, the SS? They took the same feel and they put it in a 34-inch riser, or axle, sorry. It's a longer bow. Holy smokes, is that a smooth cam? And holy smokes, does it shoot and hold?
Yeah.
SS34, Bowtech SS34.
Like holds like a target bow.
It does.
Nice platform.
And you still get some pretty decent speeds on that. Again, if you're running performance, you can get a lot of speed. If I was going to say headed out west, going to have some opportunities at long shots, long bombs, probably that 34 and the Phase 433 so far. There's one other one I'm going to talk about in just a little bit. Those are or if you're a target guy or a hybrid, you want a bow that you can hunt with and shoot 3D and even shoot indoor, it's going to be a hard bow to pass.
Yeah.
On that.
That bow holds unbelievable.
And if you're not or if you just want like a little bit shorter, some guys have like this magic number, and 30 is always something we hear about, and 32 is always something we hear about as far as axle. They made a CP30. Last year they made their CP28, which is the shortest bow car or Bowtech's ever made. They actually made a 30. It's a CP30. It's absolute duplicate, except they changed the cam. That is a very popular bow, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's right in the wheelhouse for a lot of guys, on that 30-inch axle.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Carbon 1, we're looking revolt cams, right?
I don't think it's the same, but it has a very similar
same
feel to
philosophy.
Okay.
Yep. It's not the same cam, but it's the same philosophy. Because last year they had the Revolt XL and the Revolt X80. When they came out with the Revolt and the Revolt X,
Yep.
Bowtech woke everybody up. There were some badass bows. And then they've kind of been bringing it there. The SR350 is the only one where we kind of had what the hell is this? But it did fine. It shoots great. It's Bowtech. But I think this year, their lineup packs a punch. Hard punch. You want carbon? Buy carbon. You want a longbow? You got a longbow. You want a CP30? You got one.
Right. And you talk about that one being heavy, and comparing it to the Hoyt being heavy as a carbon bow too. I think, standing in the shop with guys shooting it, I think it's the quietest carbon bow we have.
You think over the Era?
Totally.
Yeah, I think the Era is more dead in your hand. But
Okay.
But the carbon one is quiet.
But I think
Quieter,
carbon one is actually the quietest, it seems, which is cool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because it's a hunting platform, right? It's a 30-inch bow, so it's gonna be a great bow to hunt with. Yeah.
On their platform of new releases, on the Diamond, what we call Go As You Grow, or price friendly kind of introductory setup, they have a Edge 365. Did that take the place of the Edge 320?
The Edge 305?
Or 305, sorry. Or does it take
I think
the
it did.
place of the Infinite?
The Infinite.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for just a new model of the Edge bows, the Infinite Edge Pro, the Edge 320, now we have an Edge 305.
Yeah. I think they released a Max too. I don't know if we're gonna get those in.
Edge Max.
Yeah.
Well, we will have more information on that. There are a couple bows that we don't have. Everything we've talked about so far we do, and we've shot. That's why we're giving you an honest opinion. The very end of this podcast, there's a bow that we have not shot yet from Hoyt that we haven't got. We were supposed to get it on the 15th, but with shipping and holidays and production, that's what it is. So Bowtech, it's hard because we have 3 different, and we've only been doing 2, but Bowtech, where are we at for rating? Keith, you start this time.
4.3.
Nice.
I'm going to go 4.37.
High.
4.3.
Okay. I'm going to stay right there with you guys. I'm going to give it 4.3. That's my highest rating so far on Bowtech.
Yep, good job, Bowtech.
Really good job.
Yep.
Very good.
All right. Let's go to PSE. Precision Shooting Equipment.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, all right. They have the Mach 34.
Yep.
Well, the Omen was released in the summer
And then they have aluminum bows coming out.
for 2023.
Yep.
Okay.
Coming up.
I don't know. Do you know when? Have you heard?
I heard January, but
No.
maybe
Cool.
ATA.
Maybe. Yeah, there you go. PSE does some funky releases. Like it was middle of the summer, and all of a sudden, boom! There's an Omen.
Yep.
Which the Omen is. It's
Omen 2.0.
yeah. It's the second installment of the Omen
Yep.
with new cams, and Keith is the only one I think that. No, Keith and Zach had an Omen.
Yep. Zach too. Yep.
Zach had his Omen for a week. You shot yours a little bit.
Yeah, he's that way though, a little bit.
He doesn't-
I really like that bow.
It was aggressive.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but I was shooting low poundage, so it
Yep.
worked out well because I could get the speed out of it at the lower poundage.
Let's talk about that Mach 34. I got one hanging here right in front of us that is Dano's.
Did we dry fire that one?
Not yet, but we've showed it to everyone.
You found it?
Well, okay, here's the story. Mach 34, the first ones that we ordered has an S. You need to write this down if you're listening or push rewind 10 seconds. S2 cam. I'm just going to label S2 cam as severe. that baby right there, you need it. It is a workout to shoot it. If you're the kind of archer that loves speed, loves performance, loves efficiency, you grab your bow, you sight it in 20, 30 arrows, and you maybe shoot 20, 30 arrows before the season, and then you're going to hunt. S2 cam is where it's at. It is stiff. It draws like a workhorse, but it is a workhorse. Incredibly fast. The PSE Mach 34 is 34 inches axle to axle. But on that on that system, you can also get the EC cam, which is the Evolve cam system that we've all known to love. That is a dream when it comes to a cam from PSE. They also have an E as an Elephant 2 cam, which is long draw, if you need to get there. We have not shot the E2 cam. I wonder if it's like if it's the EC and the S2 married.
Yeah,
but it's for long.
It's going to have a levitate feel.
Yeah, perfect. I'm going to say if they only had the S2 cam, the Mach 34 wouldn't even be a contender. Just unless you're that guy that we described.
That's valid.
The EC cam, watch out, sister. Because that baby is smooth. Are you on your phone again? Oh, you're looking on PSE. Gotcha. PSE Mach 34 EC cam and the S2 cam. Dan, you have yours. Nobody else has theirs. What do you think of it?
I love this bow. Good specs, big brace height, a little bit longer axle than I'm used to, but I do like it. Yeah, I shot my levitate last year for hunting.
Is that what you shot in Kansas?
Love it. It's a good, yeah. I mean, just that overall platform, 3.65 pounds is what this one is. I think the levitate was a little bit lighter, 3.6.
Like right at 6, I think, yeah.
So super lightweight, balance is good. The cam last year had a little bit of buildup. This one is just buttery smooth. I love it.
Greatest bow ever made.
You?
For Dan.
Talk to the end of the mic.
Was it the greatest bow ever made?
He's back.
Which one?
The Mach 34.
I get where he's going.
Haven't hunted with it yet, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I liked my levitate last year. Like I said, it was a little bit stiffer dry. I did a 60 pounder in mine last year, so it drew nice for me at 60. But
Yeah.
thing's a shooter.
Did you get a 70 this year?
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
We do have EC cams coming. I meant bows with the EC cam on them. We do have, I think we got 2 left of the S2s, 1 right and 1 left, or 2 rights and a left.
Now,
So
if you are a shorter draw, that S2 actually does draw nice.
I was going to say, yeah.
TJ Brenny is 27 inches, and he had absolutely no problem with it.
Right.
And then we had another customer who is 29. I think he's 29 and a half, close to 30. And he just couldn't get by it. He could shoot it okay, but
I think if you're 28 inches or less, it's a nice drawing bow.
On the S2.
Right. It just builds up after that.
If you're any draw, the EC cam is pretty dang smooth. I wonder what it's like on shorter draw. Have we tried it? Well, actually, I know the answer to that.
It'll be smoother. It's got to be. Yeah.
Do you guys have a problem with the grip?
No. Love it.
I don't mind the grip.
I like PSC.
Do you tape it or use a wedge block or anything?
I taped mine last year.
Did you?
Yep.
I shot mine just the way it is last year.
Straight
the
up?
levitate.
Same here.
Did you order Mach 34?
No, I did not.
Okay. That was Keith I was asking, by the way.
Not that I don't like it.
Yep.
It's a very nice bow.
It is. Okay, take this with a grain of salt, listeners. We can, but we're not going to own every bow. I mean, it's just, you get 2 or 3, and it's hard to even shoot 2 and 3 all year long. You kind of find what you want for different situations. I have 1 short bow at the moment that I'm going to try to shoot for blind hunting, and we'll see where that goes. But I like that 32 to 34 inch axle. It's just kind of what I like to shoot. It had nothing to do with draw length or draw cycle. It's just that the way it holds, the string angle is very comfortable for me. I don't have to find, and my peep isn't, and it's actually good if it is. On my 29, my peep is 7 inches or a little bit over from the D-loop. So it's like almost to the top of the serving. It's awkward, but it does help you especially for long range shooting. PSE Mach 34, I'll start with this. I really like the Mach 34. I really enjoy the EC cam. The S2 cam, in the right circumstance, I would. I'm going to give them... I have a problem with the grip. I'll just be honest with it, but I have not shot it with a wedge or tape like Dan did. I'm going to say 3.75, my personal rating. Just because I'm only looking at one. This could change in February when they have a new release. But that's my rating, 3.75.
I'm going to go with a 4.0.
I'm going 4.4.
I knew you would. Well, you look at that Bucky shot with yours last year.
Dano loves those.
And hey, I've been a PSE guy for a long time. That's what I was shooting when I first started.
Yeah, and that's coming from a guy that prior to last year was not a PSE guy.
No, I think the last few years they've done a lot of good stuff. Now, I'm going to be a hair lower on my rating for this just because it's not a whole lot different than their last couple bows. They're kind of just making... Yeah. Now, granted, that's everybody, right? It's Mathews. Everybody says about Mathews too, but I'm going to go with a 4.2. I think they're all really, really close. There's not a bad bow in the shop. Right. You know what I mean?
And my rating on Mathews was not like... Mathews is... The overall experience of shooting that bow is perfect. I just would like to see them come out with a carbon bow. That's just... I feel like everything's kind of going that way.
Or switch up a little bit more.
We get asked that all the time. Like, okay, when's Mathews going to come out with a carbon bow? I really don't think they're going to. I would love to be proven wrong. I don't think there's some things that you got to do different as far as production when you start dealing with carbon. Yep. And one of the biggest things that Mathews has never done is been late. As far as like, we're not talking a 6-month window to get a bow. They can push those aluminum risers through and get products faster than most. Now, granted, we're in central Minnesota and they're in Sparta, Wisconsin, but just overall, there are some companies that get overloaded in the carbon world. Do you think that's ever going to change? Do you think like, okay, we have carbon bows, you can get them in 6 weeks?
Well, I think so, because now they're going to have their platforms that they're used to building. I'm hoping, right? It's going to become a little more normal. So it's not like year to year they need to totally change the riser. If they're not changing the riser, just like Mathews this year. Now, they did change them, right, because they machined them different. But that platform was there, and they were right on top of it with everything. Even our orders are coming right through this year. So I think, I think with the carbon platform, I think it'll end up being a little more normal going down the road because we're seeing more and more of it. I think they'll get their process down.
I mean, Hoyt has owned the carbon industry since the beginning of the carbon matrix, right? I mean, high-end carbon bows. Yep. But every year it seems like they get stuck in this little rut where we'll order a bow in December and we'll see it in March, maybe April.
Yeah, if you want to talk production, Mathews
that's a good point.
Gets the trophy for that. Every year they just get stuff out.
So will they? Maybe. I mean, we've said it.
And there's nothing wrong with aluminum. I just think that carbon's new.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. When we talk with Evan from Hoyt, you and I have been on the last couple of podcasts with Hoyt. It's a huge thing, like selling point. It is warm to touch. When it's like this week and it's -2 and you're hunting in a blind, your aluminum bow will get cold. Okay, tape it or wear a glove or whatever. Does PSC do the same? Is it warm to touch or neutral? Is Bowtech neutral? Is Elite? We haven't had an Elite bow. Nobody has an Elite bow besides Philip Johnson.
Right.
And then some of the guys that work, obviously, for pro staff. But is it the same?
It doesn't get frigid cold like aluminum. That's but it's not like it's when they say warm to the touch. I don't.
They shouldn't say that.
Right.
They should say it's neutral.
Yep. Yeah, neutral. And it's for me with the carbon bows, I shot my Hoyt last year, and I love that RX-7. I shot every animal with it this year. But for me, when I chose carbon over aluminum, in that specific instance, it was how the bow felt on the shot. I just felt like the bow felt better in my hand on the shot, standing here in the shop before I ever hit the woods.
We're going to talk about Hoyt in a little bit, but as far as PSC, we did all of that, and we're sitting pretty dang good. So overall, do we all give a rating? Yes.
We did. Yep.
Okay, Hoyt, this is the quick, fast, easy one. They came out with a VTM 34 aluminum, a VTM 31 aluminum. They did not switch anything except added one color for the RX-7 and the RX-7 Ultra. Now, why did they do this? I don't think you have to change anything on the RX-7 as far as carbon. I don't know if they did it for production reasons or if they just, ran out of time. But the RX-7 is a good bow.
Yeah, it's a very
Ultra
nice
or
bow.
the regular.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I don't know what the answer is there either. But
the VTM 34 gonna hit some guys pretty hard because they love the 34. Did they switch the cam? No. Switch the riser. It's a little bit lighter, and they have a cutout for which they should have had forever.
yeah.
I don't know what they call that riser, but there's a piece, tech riser. There's a hole now in the aluminum where you can run your cable driven cord for your rest, and you could even do your limb driven, but you don't have to. Yeah. Perfect. The grip is still one of the most sought after grips in the industry. The Hoyt grip. Last year they made it different, but it's still very, very ergonomical. VTM 34, VTM 31, they just added an inch to last year's bows. They do have a new bow coming out, their speed bow. Is it called the Z1S?
I believe so.
The Hoyt speed bow.
So silly that we're really organized this morning.
Well, it's just off the cuff.
Not you. Us. I'm blaming us because we're supposed to be part of it.
Z1S is
Jack
their
should
speed
be
bow.
pro at this because he's been on his phone all morning.
So are you. But you just haven't said anything.
Hoyt,
I've been looking at specs, buddy.
the speed bow, I think it's going to be like their other speed bows. It's going to be a severe draw, and it's going to fire an arrow 340 feet per second. That's what it's going to do. Is this new cam system? I don't know, but
Tough to say.
we'll see. They did not change the RX-7, the VTM 31. If I was basing this rating off of just the VTM 34 and the VTM 31, I'm going to give it 3.5. That's just where I'm at. I love the RX-7 and the RX-7 Ultra, but they didn't change anything, so it's the same review as last year. What brought it down is we do not know the speed bow yet. After the speed bow, and when we do the Hoyt podcast, we can do a little bit better rating system, I guess you want to say. But that's where I'm at, 3.5.
I'm going to go with a solid 3 just because, they didn't change a whole lot. The RX-7, like you said, it's a phenomenal bow. They didn't really need to change anything there. But there's a lot of guys who shoot, a carbon bow and then want the new carbon bow. Well, if there isn't a new carbon, then you go another year shooting the same carbon you shot before. And, people want new.
Yep.
And I think that's going to bite Hoyt a little bit this year.
So 3 for Jack.
I'm going to say, I'm going to still say 3.75 just because that RX-7 is a great platform, whether they changed it or not.
Yep.
And, I'm going to go 3.75 just because I used it this year.
Very good. Very well you used it.
Yeah. Thank you.
3.5.
Yep. I knew kind of where I was going. They do have a new color called the bourbon. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, super cool
especially
color.
with black
Looks good on
accents.
that carbon, yeah.
Wow. Good job from all of our bow companies. And again, this podcast, we're not biased. We don't care. We're just giving you our honest input before we have all of the brand-specific podcasts. Like when we release Mathews with the engineer, John, we're going to talk with him over there. It is 100% Mathews, and it sounds like we're giving you a sales pitch, but we're giving you the why they did it. That's where a lot of answers are coming. When we do Elite, why did they do it? When we do Bowtech, same thing. And then Hoyt, we'll get the answers, like, why didn't you change? Then they'll tell us. So this is an unbiased rating. We have a lot of people that listen to it. We have every one of these bows. By the time that you listen to this podcast, we probably have the Hoyt speed bow. So you can shoot everything that we talked about. EC cams are coming any day. So we'll have those. On behalf of everybody, thank you guys for coming on. Archery Country Podcast. Check out all of our platforms, our Archery Country YouTube videos, and our playlist of the new bow reviews and new products coming up after the ATA. On behalf of everybody, we'll see you on down the road.
Thank you for listening to Archery Country Podcast.